So this might have been my favorite episode of SmackDown this year. This was intense. There was a looming presence of the Wyatt Six. There was so much that happened, but we're gonna go through just some of the highlights here today on the show. My name is Matt, welcome to Assemble Wrestling. Let's get into it. The biggest thing to me that happened on SmackDown was going to be the debut of Jacob Fatu. I did not see this coming. I thought that they did a wonderful job setting this up. You had the match between Solo Sikoa and Cody Rhodes to end SmackDown that blew up right away. And when that was announced for SmackDown, I totally thought that, like, okay, this is not going to end up being really the full main event. Like, they're not going to do this match now. I assumed it was just going to break down where you're going to have the rest of the bloodline interfere, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, them coming out too. All of that did happen. But Jacob Fatu coming out and debuting on SmackDown, I thought was awesome. I thought they would have saved him for when he was inevitably going to show up. I thought they would have done it at Money in the Bank, SummerSlam even, to really make it like this huge deal. But SmackDown, it totally fit. They went out there. Jacob Fatu is scary, and they built him like that, taking out Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and then Cody Rhodes with the giant splash on the table. They made him feel completely dangerous, unhinged. There was so much, guys, that happened on SmackDown. What was the best part of SmackDown for you? Comment below, let me know. This is going to be probably building to some kind of multi-man match, looking at Money in the Bank possibly, or they're going to do it at SummerSlam. The reports right now are that we are going to get Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa at SummerSlam. That match still might happen, but I could definitely see them doing a multi-man match, maybe at Money in the Bank. So if you had the Bloodline, which would be all 4 members, you then have on the other side Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes. Kind of need the 4th man in all of this. Would you do CM Punk? But Punk got taken out, so you're not really going to be able to do that. But it'll be very interesting. They could still just do 3-on-3, where you could have everybody but Solo in that match and he's just ringside. You could do something like that. But Jacob Fatu created a huge presence on SmackDown. It was dangerous. It felt alive. It reminded me of Umaga in the best way possible. And Umaga was great because of how dangerous he was with the Samoan Spike and rushing at his opponents and just that element of danger. Jacob Fatu brings that. And I think WWE is going to be able to go a long way now with the Bloodline story in this current iteration. The Bloodline, for me, my last thing to say on just this whole Bloodline situation, it was starting to get a little dull for me. I wasn't really enjoying it. I was waiting to see when they're finally going to do something in Clash at the Castle. We had the moment at the end where Solo and Cody were looking at each other, targeting Cody Rhodes, and now we're seeing that follow through. And with Jacob Fatu in there, now things are very interesting. You also have the comments made of Solo to Paul Heyman before the match, saying Roman Reigns is never coming back. And Paul Heyman probably was the MVP for me for this whole episode of SmackDown. The emotions that Paul Heyman showed with the Bloodline, with Cody, with the whole main event segment, with CM Punk as well. So that was the other highlight. Holy crap. The chemistry between CM Punk and Paul Heyman is next level. I bought this in so hard. I was so excited. So we're in Chicago. Punk is opening up the night talking about Drew McIntyre, how Drew has quit, taken his ball and went home. Loved how the segment was built. Then you had Paul Heyman come out. And when Paul Heyman came out, I feel like myself sitting at home watching and the crowd that was there, at first it was kind of like, oh, holy crap. You're going to have Paul come out. What's he going to say to Punk? The chemistry between these two guys is obvious and it worked so well. This was like masterclass for me. This is why this episode of SmackDown was part of the reason why I feel like it's the best one this year. Because having Punk out there, yay, you're in Chicago, you got a really crazy crowd, which is great to have. The energy is high. Paul Heyman coming out and basically turning to Punk, asking for help. Do me a favor, I'll do you a favor. And it was so well done that you had Paul Heyman going to Punk, looking for safety. And Punk not knowing kind of like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? Because Punk is dealing with Drew McIntyre and this was turning to the Bloodline. And you have this great friendship and this build of like a brother with another brother, like the big brother, he's coming to help the other brother, of like the bullies are coming, he needs his help to protect him. And you have Punk standing there not knowing like what is really going on with all of this and what's going on with Paul. And then you have the Bloodline come out. Cody interrupts, hits the ring. They got the stinger bats, and then they shoo off the Bloodline in all of this. Wonderful segment. Like, I love this. I rewatched this segment. It was so well done between Heyman and Punk. The other big highlight was going to be obviously then the beatdown. We weren't done with CM Punk. And then, by the way, there was also the funny backstage thing, or sorry, the digital exclusive thing between the commercial breaks where Cody and Punk are running out of the ring with the bats, and Punk's got the bat over his head like he's gonna hit Cody, and it was just silly. But the other big moment when all of this was the beatdown. Drew McIntyre shows up. They were backstage. You could hear just banging against the big door in the garage. It opens up, and Punk is laid out. He is a complete bloody mess. And you have blood everywhere, and Drew McIntyre is standing over top of him. He picks him up, and they do the full continuous shot. Drew carries like just a lifeless CM Punk to the stage, and then just dumps him. Like, I was like, oh, his shoulder? He's gonna pop another shoulder. He's gonna get injured all over again. This was just tops for me. This was the aggression you want to see. And it was well done because from the production side, you didn't need Punk to get like physical and actually get beaten up. They could play it all out. You didn't see it. So what I love when they do stuff like that is your mind has to wander and put all the pieces together of how badly Drew beat up CM Punk. But just that moment of Drew getting to the stage, just so serious in his face, and he just dumps Punk onto the stage, and you hear the thud. It was just like, it looked like it hurt, just even that. And then he takes the bracelet off of Punk, and then Drew walks away, and that's the end. And Punk later gets put in the ambulance, and he's gone to a hospital, not a medical facility. So these moments were absolutely awesome on SmackDown. The whole arc of Punk, and you know what? You did it in Chicago too, so you got the big pop at the beginning for Punk, and then you're getting him carted away, so you get all the heat you can on Drew McIntyre. The other really cool highlight for me for SmackDown was the overall sense of danger, of wondering what's gonna happen with the Wyatt Six. We didn't need them on SmackDown. We needed just to have that feeling of danger and that they're lurking, they could be there. And what you had on the show was the added security. You had Nick Aldis address it on digital and social before SmackDown happened. You had every segment, even on ringside, you could see there was added security, and they talked about that too because of the Wyatts. So they're building it. They're not just super shooting it where Uncle Howdy's doing a promo on the screen on SmackDown and getting spooky with stuff. This is, I think, the right move. You don't want them every single week. You had them on Raw, and you want everyone to feel that there's danger and it's unsettling. And that's what I got from the feeling of SmackDown, was that stuff felt more dangerous, felt more alive, felt there's more urgency. It felt like people were even playing into it a little bit, that they're nervous. Like, you could feel there was angst, that everything was feeling anxious, that there was a lot going on, because you don't know if the Wyatts are going to show up or not, which is great, because it's a great way to keep things interesting on TV, where you have so many different stories. So on SmackDown alone, when you have the main story of Cody, Punk, the Bloodline, Punk and Drew as the other story, and then you have the Wyatts on top of all of that with their presence being felt. So love that they just even had that. They addressed it. They did the video packages and the recaps, but they added the security in the segments, Bayley backstage, and you have security around her. I really like that as a good touch. Other quick notes: Money in the Bank qualifiers. Andrade qualified for Money in the Bank. Carmelo Hayes qualified for Money in the Bank. And one of my personal favorites I was happy about, Chelsea Green has qualified for Money in the Bank. I say Chelsea is like one of my favorites for that. And I was glad she qualified because I think she's kind of perfect to win Money in the Bank. She's also Canadian. You're going to be in Toronto for Money in the Bank. She's going to be a fan favorite in there. And Chelsea's a great character. So having her win Money in the Bank, she is one of my odds to win, her or Tiffany Stratton. Flip a coin. Those are my two picks. Chelsea, I think, would be super entertaining with Money in the Bank. Tiffany Stratton, I think, is kind of like the go-to for this, but Chelsea would just make it fun for months until they pull the trigger, and she could win. And her getting the title, I think, would be well-deserved. The men's Money in the Bank is shaping up where you have Andrade, Jey Uso, Carmelo Hayes in there. It's starting to look good. I like they're doing these multi-man qualifier matches. And with the men's side, you have the Bloodline interfering, Kevin Owens getting beaten down, Randy Orton as well. I love all of that. It's the through line and the thread of the story is being told all through the episode. It was probably, like I said, One of my favorite episodes of SmackDown that they have done this year. What did you like about SmackDown though last night? Jacob Fatu, major highlight. And if you guys want to talk more WWE content, news, and updates and everything, click right here because we got more videos coming at you. Have a great day. See ya.